Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a podcast and videocast from univrm.com. Today is a current event news article titled Gravity Works and You Cannot Wish It Away. Sir Isaac Newton, often described as one of the most influential scientists to have ever lived. It is a modern absurdity Sir Isaac Newton's monograph Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, published in 1687, lays the foundation for most of classical mechanics and is still current event news. In this work, Newton described universal gravitation and the three laws of motion, which dominated the scientific view of the physical universe for the next 3 centuries. Newton showed that the motions of objects on Earth and of celestial bodies governed by the same set of natural laws by demonstrating the consistency between Kepler's laws of planetary motion and his theory of gravitation, thus removing the last doubts about heliocentrism and advancing the scientific revolution. In short, gravity works. Why is this basic principle of mathematics constantly forgotten, or are people really that stupid? Rhetorical question, either way you answer it. The story, some consider a fable, Sir Isaac Newton inspired by observing an apple falling from a tree. William Stukeley recorded in his memoirs of Sir Isaac Newton's life a conversation with Newton in Kensington on 15 April 1726. We went into the garden and drank tea under the shade of some apple trees. Only he and myself. Amidst other discourse, he told me, he was just in the same situation as when formerly the notion of gravitation came into his mind. Why should that apple always descend perpendicularly to the ground, thought he to himself, occasioned by the fall of an apple as he sat in a contemplative mood? Why should it not go sideways or upwards, but constantly to the earth's center? Assuredly, the reason is that the earth draws it. There must be a drawing power in matter, and the sum of the drawing power and the matter of the earth must be in the earth's center, not in any side of the earth. Therefore, does this apple fall perpendicularly or toward the center? If matter thus draws matter, it must be in proportion of its quantity. Therefore, the apple draws the earth, as well as the earth draws the apple. We leave any parallels to the currently more famous apple to the reader's imagination. Stock markets in the U.S. reaching high levels not seen since before the dot-com bubble burst in 1999-2000, and the gravity of plunging stocks, current event news of that period. There are many competing theories on how the stock market or stock markets work, but in general they are risks, gambling, money will grow, investing, from the companies any person or thing buys. Gross domestic product, GDP, is the total of all goods and services produced by a country. The debt of the U.S. government in the 1999 to 2000 dot-com bubble period growing at 72% of GDP per year. The U.S. had $7 trillion of accumulated debt during the same period. The debt of the U.S. government currently at 125% of GDP per year, meaning the U.S. government is borrowing 25% more per year than the entire country produces. The U.S. has a $15.5 trillion of accumulated debt. Further, 18.4 million homes in the U.S. are empty, and foreclosures continue, with 8.3% of the population unemployed. The situation in Europe not better, with equally depressing statistics. We mentioned earlier gravity works, stock markets reaching record highs at the same time as governments continue to borrow more money than the entire country produces, continually adding to enormous debts. We may be confused because we always thought debt repaid, but how do you repay debt if you spend more than you make and continually add more debt? Isn't this why Bernie Madoff jailed for a $65 billion Ponzi scheme, which eventually failed after he kept taking in new money to pay back old money until he couldn't keep up? Returning to Sir Isaac Newton in current event news, his observations of the falling apple inspiring his theory on gravity, a modification of the incident needed to put today's world in perspective. Sir Isaac Newton would undoubtedly mention an apple falling from a tree that goes into a hole next to the tree falls further than an apple merely falling to the ground. The deeper the hole next to the tree, the further the apple falls. This is part of his theory, but he perhaps further inspired by witnessing the two events simultaneously. We would not put a penny into the stock market because we believe in gravity, and jumping into deeper holes does not make sense. On the other hand, the government keeps printing money faster than the country as a whole makes in a year, continually adding to debt, which also makes us wonder how much our penny is really worth anyway. We know the world does not have to make sense. Some women in the U.S. voting for Republican presidential candidates who apparently believe the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, giving women the right to vote, which was on August 18, 1920, a 92-year-old mistake which must be modified through adjustments to their personal freedoms. As Shakespeare would say, something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Oh, wait, the current version is all elderly people in Holland wearing "Please do not euthanize me" bracelets and running away from hospitals due to fear of being murdered. In current event news, we ponder the question, does anyone read Humpty Dumpty anymore? This has been copyright 2012, univrm.com, trademarked, all rights reserved. At univrm.com, we create original content with humor and satire on current event news, opinion articles, economy articles, science current events, and our science fiction book series titled Change Hope. As an advertisement, please remember univrm.com offering our science fiction book series, Change Hope, released as a series on a chapter and book-by-book basis, like the old Amazing Stories magazine. Change Hope available in all ebook formats and as an audiobook. You can purchase by going to www.univrm.com/downloads/. You can listen to this article via podcast at the iTunes Store by subscribing to univrm.com, or read it on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at the UNIVRM channel. This has been a podcast and videocast brought to you by univrm.com, and we hope to bring you more in future.